Welcome everyone to Live Long and Prosper, Aging in Place. I am Zing from SGInnovate, and if you're new to us, we are a government-owned organization in Singapore with the mission to build deep tech innovations from Singapore for the world. We invest in and help build deep tech startups in the fields of AI, medtech, and quantum tech, just to name a few. We work with entrepreneurial scientists and clinicians to help bring their innovative research from lab to market, and we also develop tech talent and engage with a vibrant deep tech ecosystem. Today, we are very excited to hear from our experts, Dr. Teng Yin Ling, Executive Director of the Aging Research Institute for Society and Education and Director of Center for Healthy and Sustainable Cities at NTU, Janice Chia, the Founder and Managing Director of Aging Asia, Singapore, and Charlene Chang, the Group Director of the Aging Planning Office, Ministry of Health. In this panel, moderated by our very own Jasmine Chew, the Assistant Director of the Health and Biomedical Sciences at SGInnovate. In this panel, we'll be exploring how science and technology can help us with staying healthy for longer and to comfortably age in place. Just some house rules. During the webinar, if you have any questions during the event, please feel free to post them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and do feel free to use the chat box function to connect with our wider community. So without further ado, let me hand over the time to Jasmine to kickstart the panel. Jasmine, please.
Thank you, Zing. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this seminar. So before we start, maybe I just give some context setting. So according to the United Nations on the World Population Prospects 2019, it is estimated by 2050, 1 in 6 people worldwide will be 65 years old and above. In Singapore, it is predicted that 1 in 4 people will be 65 years old and above by 2030, exponentially earlier and higher than the global average. So with this context, and we realize that for Singapore, we have to address this rapidly chronic population and also the potential heavy healthcare burden by promoting healthy and successful aging effort. So my first question for our distinguished panelists will be, since we are in the midst of the global pandemic, from your work and research on aging in Singapore and Asia, could you share with us that how the COVID-19 pandemic complicates the effort of promoting health and successful aging? And do you see such challenges remain post-COVID? Dr. Tim, would you like to start first?
Hi, thanks, Jasmine. And, thank you so much, for inviting me to participate in this panel discussion. I think the question is, interesting because we are still living through the COVID period. But last year when we were, I just want to speak from the perspective of research. A lot of activities were not able to carry out, especially when we actually do studies with, seniors in homes, in communities. And, we have some of these, in-person activities that cannot be done, at the center. However, COVID has actually, opened up new avenues. So instead of actually looking at, physical meetings and in-person meetings, we have actually to think out of the box because we couldn't do anything last year. And basically we were actually toiling with, the e-platform. And recently with the easing of, restrictions, we are going into mixed mode. So yes, it's like there have been challenges to promote healthy and successful aging, but at the same time, it's like we were able to also think out of the box to look at new ways of engagement with the seniors in the community, with administrator at the centers, and so on. So, it's like post-COVID, so I do not think that we may go back to, say pre-COVID period, but certainly with the new, say norm, we are also seeing, interesting things, that are happening and tapping into technologies to enable us to connect with one another. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah. How about Janice? Would you like to share some of your insights?
Hi, I forgot to
yeah.
unmute. Yeah. So I think the great thing about COVID is probably that more seniors have jumped on technology faster than before. And it's not just senior organizations teaching seniors. All around the world, every older person is learning how to use Zoom. There's never been so many people teaching how to use Zoom, how to get onto different platforms. And I've seen a lot of older people start using telehealth services. They start using, we're teaching them how to do e-commerce. We're sharing with them how to order Grab food, Grab groceries. So everything is all about the tech, and everything comes from their mobile phone. It's so easy. So I think although COVID has been very, very challenging, it's also created opportunities for tech companies who want seniors to start using the tech. So for now, you have all these consumers who are willing and already know how to use Zoom as a daily basis. In fact, they think Zoom is a term for the video conferencing interface now. It's become so popular that we can offer exercise classes for them. They can chat with their friends. They form their own groups to talk to people. So I think it's great. So it's a great equalizer, and it's presenting a lot of opportunities post-COVID for us to embark on it. Post-COVID, I believe that hybrid environment will stay. People will combine hybrid activities, virtual platforms together with face-to-face activities. They'll be okay to see their doctors, GP for simple flu symptoms or simple health checks. They're okay to do it via telehealth. If they have something more elaborate, they might go to a specialist after. But they're willing to now trust that their doctors are at the other end of the screen. So I think it's improved that trust factor for consumers with technology.
Great. Yeah, that sounds like COVID-19 has certain silver lining in terms of the technology adoption. Yeah. Charlene, would you like to share with us your view?
Thank you, Jasmine. Good day to my fellow panelists and to all the attendees joining us today. Aging is such an important issue to us in Singapore, and not just in Singapore, but the world at large. So I'm very excited, very privileged to have this opportunity to dialogue with my panelists and also to hear from our participants, your thoughts on this. Jasmine, you said silver linings, and that exactly hits the nail on the head for me when it comes to this unprecedented year of pandemic, one that is still ongoing. It really is very much one of silver linings, and it's silver linings because of the incredible extent of adaptability that all of us have had to display, have had to go through, have had to pick up. And because of that, I think it opens unprecedented opportunities to many of us in many facets of our lives, doing things that we would never have envisaged prior to this. I think this Zoom webinar is one of them. Prior to this, I didn't think I just didn't, even contemplate being in a Zoom webinar. And yesterday I was in one with fellow panelists from Australia and from Japan. And, today I'm in this one. At home, for many of us, the opportunities to find out and discover new sides about ourselves as we worked from home, connected with our families in different ways. I think really we're all very much silver linings that are all underscored by adaptability. And that's no different, I think, for our seniors and for promoting healthy and successful aging as well. Undoubtedly, COVID has thrust huge disruptions on us. During circuit breaker, which is our lockdown period, we had to put in place a lot of precautionary measures. We suspended a lot of activities in the community. We, as many of you would be aware, Singapore has many community-based activities for our seniors, ranging from like active aging and exercise programs and health screenings. We had to suspend all of this, even visitors to nursing homes. And while we have resumed many of these in scoped and modified and safe ways, and what is now the new norm, I think what is very important to note is that it has been so heartwarming to see the way multitudes of stakeholders, providers, people have seized the opportunities and responded in very many different ways. Janice, you talked about technology. Indeed, technology was a key enabler to many of us, well, to be able to participate in this seminar, but equally for our seniors to keep in touch with their families in different ways, for seniors to keep in touch with their friends, for service providers to reach out and provide services to seniors in ways that they didn't envisage before. I remember looking at videos of our seniors taking part in the equivalent of home-based learning that was run by their senior care centers because they weren't able to attend, but you know, the exercises, the therapy and all that, our providers very innovatively converted them into a way that can be delivered online. And they shared with us footage of their clients doing this, and you can see, you know, the Amma and Akong before that, like looking at an iPad, don't know what to do with it. And very quickly they become, you know, quite expert and veteran, and they're able to navigate and take part in it, and they love it. And so I think, to me, what is very important about as we continue to navigate the pandemic and contemplate a world post-pandemic is how do we keep up the momentum of this? It was thrust upon us by necessity. We had no choice, but we you know, as the saying goes, don't waste a good crisis, right? And then so the crisis has given us many silver linings in transforming many different ways of our lives. And I think in Ling, Janice, you've talked about some of them, I've talked about some of them, but to me the key is like how not to lose this and ensure that we not only continue the momentum but build on it as we continue to search for more ways to enable ourselves to age well and to age successfully. So I'll just stop there with some of these thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Shirley. Yeah, I think the sharing from the panelists lead very nicely to my second question, which is now with the demand for the healthcare service rising, coupled with manpower crunch, healthcare and caregiving institutes in terms of dealing with the growing aging population may have its limitations. So other than the technology just now we mentioned, like tele health services and remote monitoring, remote care, and there are other technology advancements such as robotic caregivers, smart sensor technology, so on and so forth. How do you see the accelerated growth of the technologies can be the solution of aging in place and support how people work and play? And do you also see there are any gaps and barriers to be overcome, or is there mindset changes we have to make in order to embrace such technology adoption? Yeah. Janice, would you like to go first?
Sure. Thank you, and thanks for all the sharing with fellow panelists. I think one thing that we can I can talk about is looking at a new trend of business of fun rehabilitation that's using technology to deliver fun exercises in a gamification format. So using augmented reality and putting it onto the virtual world, we could have seniors participating from around the world. I think that's increased the scope for that. But along with this new fun rehabilitation and the trends we're seeing out of Japan as well, tech adoption in care facilities and centers does encourage the younger population to consider aging and the long-term care sector as a new career, because now there's going to be new job roles that are being created. We may not necessarily need the physiotherapists to be trying to create the back end and the Zoom sessions and to facilitate the discussions. Physiotherapists can focus on the clinical work and maybe some of the actual teachings, but we could have a whole team, a whole technical support team behind every care facility that's helping them with social media engagement, helping them with creating the competitions for the activities, rallying everyone to participate. I see, and in Japan also, we've seen that because of the use of technology, perhaps assistive living technology inside the facilities itself, and in the homes, younger people are more drawn to it because they get the chance to use robotics, the latest robotics out there. And because many of these robotics coming out of Japan are being targeted at the care sector, I think it's becoming a more sexy industry. So, even if you're doing a business degree, you could consider entering the care sector in future. And you might want to become a care entrepreneur and create a care business, or you might want to start importing the robotics and care products. So I see a lot of potential for the role of technology in this area. And in developing the new technology, I think we'll see that seniors will have a greater input. We set up senior review advisory panels so that seniors can actually be part of this conversation to contribute what are the technologies they want to see, what are they interested to implement, how can they test out the devices. If we bring in a dementia robotic dog companion, we get seniors to tell us what they think of it. What else do they want to be created out of it? So although a product might be created from overseas, I think that's where Singapore can play a part as well. We would then look at the contributions from the seniors and develop it further with AI and new data collection technologies and create more Singapore products. I would like to see Singapore having a brand to be known for aging tech products out there. And because of our huge senior population, we should embrace that. We should embrace the fact we have so many seniors that can give feedback to create and participate in joint product development.
Yeah, that's a very good viewpoint. Yeah, have the senior to co-develop or the product developed with some in the local context. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. How about Yingling? Will you please share with us your view?
Yes, thanks. I think we are living in very exciting times. Exciting times in the use of technologies, and we many reports has actually shown that COVID has accelerated technologies. And and the other thing is that because when we actually talk about user-centered design, design thinking is really looking at the users at the center of design. And we are able to raise the standards of expectations and of the technology is when we begin to use them and be able to actually, like what Janice has mentioned, they are able to give feedback. One of the goals or dreams that I have of Singapore is that Singapore, being a city state, is not only just doing, testing, in small studies, but Singapore itself can be a test bed. And, one of the challenges in actually looking at, acceptance and adoption. And I like what Charlene has mentioned, in terms of maintaining the momentum. How do we bring technologies from the level of acceptance to adoption and lifestyle change? And and we know that from theories, if I'm actually using the same thing, over a period of time, we change our mindset, we change our behaviors, it becomes a habit, it becomes a lifestyle. COVID has been very long, over 1 year, and we are still struggling with it. So in other words, using Zoom, right, becomes a habit now. In the past, this is actually very rude, when you actually say, oh, I want to Zoom, I meet you. But now it's actually the new norm in terms of meeting people, and we begin to see the benefits. So can you imagine technologies? I think we are excited about, robotics. We are excited about smart, sensor technologies, telehealth, teleconsultation. Several years ago, it wasn't that easy. We were actually going, talking to people is actually very difficult to convince, but now it's a lot easier. So I think, here comes the opportunity, to be able to actually raise the standards and bring in, all the stakeholders, including the prospective users, like the older adults, to be involved in design, so to be involved in contextualizing the design to the kind of tasks and the needs. And here is actually where, we can contribute as a country, to say that, if we get, good products and services, to help towards healthy aging and active aging, then we could also be playing a part, in the region, to share what we have done, as well as globally. So one of the vision is actually to say that, we design for, yes, we design for Singapore, but it's relevant for the world. And I think that's something that we can do. I think the other thing that I would also like to highlight in terms of gaps and barriers, mindset change, COVID has accelerated the acceptance, is actually looking into, more sustained use, right, into a lifestyle change. The other thing that, from the university perspective, in terms of research, the kind of systematic pathway of translating innovations to real products and services, for use and therefore impacting communities, there are a lot of opportunities for us to do that. And I'm glad, Janice actually, mentioned about there are a lot of tech companies who are interested to work, in Singapore, to also look at, some of these services that can actually be used in the community. So exciting times, with new technologies, and the older adults, I think they are one notch up in terms of using technologies. When I started looking at technologies for elderly, in 2010 through ASTAR, grant, it was quite tough, there's a fear of using. Now it's not. Now it's like, you can see the faces, like what Charlene said, that there's joy. So when we did the EXA gaming competition, you can actually see sheer joy on their faces, and that is translated not only just in terms of physical health, but psychosocial health. You can actually address a lot of other issues like social connections and so on, and networking. Yeah, so I'm going to stop here.
Thank you very much, Yingling. Yeah, actually, SGInnovate also share the same mission, building from Singapore for the world. Yes, yeah. So next, Charlene, can you please share with us your comments?
Thanks, Jasmine. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think earlier in your context setting, you talked about how Singapore will have 1 in 4 people above the age of 65 by 2030. That's a broad macro trend that we're going to be seeing in Singapore. On top of that, if you take that trend and you unpack it further, there's actually quite a bit behind that. And one of the things that is also clear is that we're seeing a change in profile of our seniors. We're seeing changes in family structures. So we're seeing shrinking family sizes. We're also seeing an increasing number of single elderlies, or else empty nesters, who children perhaps don't live with them or aren't even in Singapore. And I think all this will have an impact on the social compact in Singapore among families, right? Families as the first line of care, families as the core of your social support. All that will be evolving in Singapore. And I think one thing that is also emerging is that seniors are expressing a greater desire and aspiration to be independent and to age in place. And there's, according to some surveys that we conducted, actually quite an overwhelming percentage of the respondents say that they want to age in place where they are, and that's growing. That trend is growing. There are also a significant proportion of our seniors who say that they want to have some elements of assisted living care being delivered to them in place so that they can continue to age in place. And really all the things that we've been talking about on technology is an enabler and underscores such aspirations. So pre-pandemic, it's not like we didn't have technology. It had been used, in different settings. So I think in our daycare centers, we had our seniors play mahjong on tablets. Gamification has been a very powerful and effective way of getting seniors to interact as well as to achieve sort of rehab outcomes. So as I visited some of the senior care centers, I see them, playing games, using like Wii-like gadgets and devices, and they're pitched against each other. And it's really a very incredible level of energy and participation. There've also been like sensors and wearables that have been used in different settings. And of course, I mean, we've talked about it already, but just bears repeating that COVID-19 has been definitely a driving force for tele-interventions, with all the things that have been introduced during this time. So there's a lot of potential. We go back to the point about aging in place. Seniors see the future of aged care as one that's very tailored, that's on demand, that's enabled by technology, that allows them to move seamlessly between different settings and to cater to their different needs as they arise. And the needs don't just necessarily arise in a linear way. Needs can fluctuate up and down for the seniors, across periods of time as well. And technology holds so much potential for the care to be almost bespoke, on demand and tailored to their needs. And that will allow us to go much further in our aging in place aspirations so that we can evolve the options that are available beyond the traditional and more conventional institutionalized care that we see in Singapore today. So it allows us to then expand the spectrum of what I would call housing cum care options, where it is both about the hardware of the roof over your head, as well as the programming and the software of both the care services and beyond care services, also social programming, community building. All this can be quite powerfully enabled by technology. Very recently, you would have seen in the media that we had launched these community care apartments, our first pilot of the community care apartments that intended precisely to do that, to marry housing and care. And there's been very strong reception to it. And these are purpose-built flats, which of course we're very heartened by the reception. At the same time, it also tells us that if we want to work towards the aspirations of a majority of our seniors who want to age in place, that also means a good look at how do we enable similar elements of assisted living within in situ, within existing residences, right? Many seniors would be happy to move out and switch out to a purpose-built apartment, but at the same time, also many seniors want to be able to achieve the same thing, but within their same residence. So what can we do about that? And I think technology really will enable us to innovate in that respect and to be able to do a lot more. Then I wanted to talk briefly about two keys that are quite necessary to look at in order to be able to allow technology to live up to its fuller potential as an enabler. And these two keys are people and processes. I guess, we could look at them as gaps or barriers or mindset changes, but it's basically around people and it's around processes. So on people, one aspect of that is if we want to transform care delivery and care services, on the ground, I think to the last mile, the last man or woman on the ground delivering the services to our seniors, will need to buy in and be adequately skilled in the value and the use of the technology, to be equipped and trained to use it, both from a hardware as well as a software perspective. They need to be equipped with the hardware. They also need to have the skills and capabilities of using it as part of their workflows in an integrated model and an integrated way. So that's one aspect of people. Then I would say another aspect of people is about the seniors themselves. I think it's another clear trend that there is increasing diversity in the profile of our seniors, right? On the one hand, yes, we have seniors who maybe are on one side of the digital divide where they need more help on how to navigate smart devices or how to access data plans. But actually on the flip side of that, on the other side of the digital divide, there are seniors who are very, very savvy with technology and with digital means. I've seen in some of the programs that we fund providers to run, I've seen seniors teaching courses on 3D printing, on drones, using drones. It's up beyond me, I must say. And then I see, 60-something-year-olds, 70-something-year-olds teaching that, and it's incredibly heartening, and I think it's incredibly inspiring. And to me, what that means also from a people perspective is that this greater diversity allows greater opportunities for contribution, right? And so seniors are not just seen as a receptacle of help, because they're not homogeneous as a group, because they're not homogeneous in terms of skills and capabilities, then actually they are also well poised to contribute to this technological and digital acceleration and momentum. So that's another aspect of people. Then the other P that I was talking about is around processes. I think well, in many areas that are actually even existing off-the-shelf technology and wearable sensors, things like that are good examples, and they already exist in the community to differing extents. But I think what is very key is the ecosystem of support and processes behind that. So the technology itself is probably just one of the easier first steps, right? To be able to find some wearable, some kind of sensor. It's in use already, like I said. But then let's take falls monitoring, for example, wearable sensor of falls monitoring. And a senior falls, actually what is important and what is critical is not just whether we sense that the senior falls, but what is the response mechanism behind that. How do we then activate or how do we put in place a support and response system that is fast, that's localized, that maybe taps on community assets, to be able to then respond accordingly and provide the support that the senior needs. So to me, that's about processes. That's about how we can be more holistic and integrated in looking at at how to harness technology to achieve the aspirations that we want to for aging in place. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing the exciting programs to help Singaporean to age in place, and also the highlight the two P aspect, people and processes for the population to embrace the technology adoption. Yeah. Next, let's move to the next question. So much of what we term healthcare is in fact illness care, where we fix what has gone wrong. Spending more on healthcare resources is not the solution for a chronically ill and rapidly aging population. Prevention is better than care. This is especially imperative as chronic illnesses increase with age and create a large healthcare expenditure in the economy. And the alarming prediction that by 2030, there will be far fewer Singaporeans of working age to support the elderly. The ratio will be 2 working adults to 1 retired elderly. So how can we encourage and promote a sustainable, healthy lifestyle and environment at home, at work, and in the society across all age groups to keep Singaporeans healthier for longer? So I think this question, I think it's quite closer to your heart, Charlene, I believe. Yeah, would you like to start first?
Sure. Many issues about aging are very close to our hearts, as I'm sure they are for Janice and Yinling, as well as many people in Singapore, many stakeholders, and worldwide as well. I mean, every time I talk to people, especially in a social context, about what I do, so let's say I'm in MRH and I work on aging issues, there's always this half a second pause, and then there's the eyes light up, and there's always, some story about their own journey as a caregiver, or perhaps their own aging journey, and there's always no shortage of interest. So I think that's, to me, very, very heartening, because as we put it, everyone has a stake in aging. I think aging is not a numbers issue. It's not something that you want to think about only when you get a bit older. like many things in life that are worth that are worth pursuing for, you have to put in the seeds of that early on. You have to invest in the success of that early on. And I think that very underscores the approach that we take to the broad question that you just outlined. Just to share, I'm sure you're aware that we have an action plan for successful aging. This was launched in 2015. Just a very slight tangential sort of digression. We're updating that and refreshing that action plan at the moment. It's been 6 years in the making. Not in the making, sorry. It's been 6 years since it was launched. And then so we think it's timely to relook at what else might be needed to age successfully in Singapore. And we are embarking on an extensive series of engagements over the course of this year as we develop the refresh around 3 pillars of care, contribution, and connectedness, our 3 Cs. So I think, just even in our short discussion of half an hour, we've touched on many aspects of all 3: care, contribution, and connectedness. But I think still related to the refresh on the care component, and going back to what the original action plan focused on in 2015. As we implemented that, and one of the key underpinnings of that action plan and also of our refresh now is the lens of a life course approach and a population health approach to our strategies for promoting good health. And it really has to be across all ages. So as I said, this is aging successfully and aging well is not something that you do when you get into your senior years. It's actually something that you need to invest in much earlier on. So the health of all our health and how golden our silver years are really does rest on foundations that we lay down when we're young, and that this cumulative effect over a lifetime of social, health, and environmental determinants. And so what we've done is to emphasize this upstream intervention and to look at health promotion and prevention program across life stages, right? Actually, all the way starting from, in a very holistic way, looking at it from pregnancy and early childhood to schools and workplaces and to the community. So for our seniors, under the Action Plan for Successful Aging, we had a variety of active aging programs in different settings. And I think if you ask me, the one word that encapsulates what we want to do is taking a holistic lens. Taking a holistic lens, bearing in mind that as we age and pre-seniors, people in their working lives or even seniors themselves, they wear multiple hats. Right? If they wear multiple hats, we want to try to get to them and to enable their participation in preventive programs, in health promotion programs, as they wear their different hats, so that it becomes natural, it becomes holistic. It's not something that you have to go out of your way to do. And I think only then can it be truly integrated and achieve the effect that it needs. So for example, we had the workplace health program, which what it did was to bring preventive health services to workplace where in sectors where there are a significant number of mature workers. One of them was a collaboration with a taxi company to reach out to taxi drivers so that when they bring their taxis in, and it's called check car, check body, very to the point, right? It leaves out what we're trying to do, but taxi drivers have to bring their cars in for regular checkup maintenance, and at the same time we brought in preventive health checkups, counseling on what healthy diets and lifestyles are about, checking on blood pressure or blood glucose, things like that. And it served as a very powerful reminder. I remember reading some of the stories on that, and one of the taxi drivers was saying that it's tough being a taxi driver all day, and he's at the end of the day he really wants to give himself a treat and have his char kway teow or his biryani. But having gone through this program, while he feels like it, there is that he knows through the health coaching and the dieting that actually he shouldn't, and he's cut down. And so I think that's just a very simple way of marrying different objectives, marrying workplace objectives together with health promotion objectives in a way that's very natural. And because it's natural, then it's effective. So I think that's really the way to go, to look at it from a life course approach, to look at it as a long-term matter that we should invest in, and then to remove as many barriers to accessibility as we can by folding it naturally into people's lives. I think, and then also in folding it naturally into people's life to meet the needs that they have. So another example of what we do is Project Silver Screen. I think you might know about it, which is a partnership, a private-public partnership to bring functional screening for seniors into the community. So again, to reduce the accessibility barriers. And this is to screen them for decline in vision, in health, and in vision and hearing, and in their oral health as well. So that, you know, if they need hearing aids, they're fitted out for it. It's caught early on. Oral health is also preventive in nature, so that it doesn't lead to further downstream malnutrition issues, because they can't they can't eat properly, and of course it overall raises the quality of life for the seniors, which is what we want to do with good health at the end of the day, right? So that's just yet another example of making it accessible and making it real in terms of meeting the needs of our seniors. So I think it's about then what else with these guiding directions, then what else can we do? What else can we innovate? What else can we work together, especially in a multi-stakeholder approach? So that's not just government, because I think while that's necessary, it's not going to be sufficient. So in a multi-stakeholder approach, whether it's with research, with academia, with corporates, with stakeholders, with community organizations, how can we push the envelope on this further? Thanks. As you can tell, yes, it's very close to my heart. Lots to say and share about it. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, I really love the behavior change story you share. It's so inspiring. Yeah, cool. Dr. Yinglan, can you please share with us your views?
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Charlene. You have spoken a lot, in this direction of, that health, it's not just an individual's, problem. And I think it's a public health. And, so one of the things I'm so glad, that we actually look at, not only just a person looking after themselves, but it's a community, as well as workplace. So we spend so much time in the workplaces, and really, catching, people, in different, sectors and so on. One of the things that we have done in a research, on safety, the concept of ownership. So we actually were looking at the theories of ownership. In other words, I think we have, programming, at the, at the community national level, and personally, but what is it that we can actually change external motivation into intrinsic motivation? And I think, if we have done our, in a way, our, campaigns, promotion well, then, intrinsically everyone will take care of his own health. So Charlene talked about the taxi drivers, you think, okay, I fall sick, what will happen, so I think there are a lot of, either whether it's training or using, strategies relating to social and behavioral enablers of healthcare, of public health system, of science and technology. And I think, increasingly we are actually looking at the concept of healthy longevity, maximizing, long life, but also through, healthy living well, living smart, and and so on. So very excited about this. The other thing that as I've been looking at studies, as we work with seniors and with homes, one of the one of the concern that I have, even in terms of my research, a lot of times when we actually started looking at older adults, it's like there's a stigma that's tied to it. It's like old people are frail, old people are lonely, old people need help, and so on. And on the flip side, right, it's like could there be also programs to celebrate older adults? And I think Janice and Charlene, we have actually worked in like projects, and we have seen very, very positive like seniors who are still in the prime of their lives contributing, like, and these are good role models. And these are good role models that, like through peer support, through peer influence, right? They could be better than, like another age group, for example, because they said, oh, it's like you have seen life and you're still so positive, it's like, so something, it's like this, when we actually talk about promotive and preventative health strategies. And I think that's where we can actually, it's like use, it's like very positive role models to actually help to, it's like engage in healthier and active lifestyle. So for those who are not sick, don't fall sick. So I have strategies that will keep them healthy and well. For those who are sick, yes, like we have curative measures, but also bring them to good health, and so that they will not fall sick, like so easily. And whether there could be like programs to encourage them, like to stay healthy. So, like curative, rehabilitative means, right, to actually help, like individuals who are sick, like to be to be healthier. It's like, so in that sense, it will be a multi-pronged approaches in terms of looking at promotion, preventative, and also curative and rehabilitative. But it's like, but it's actually a society's, it's like efforts. The individual can be very lonely, it's like, but if you have a community, right, it's like it could be, it's like a little bit easier. If I see my friends or my peers, right, 70 years old exercising for 30 minutes a day, and I'm younger than this person, it's like I think I can do better, or we can actually help to encourage one another. So, it's like, yeah, so I'll come back, it's like to this concept of, it's like Singapore is, it's like is small enough for us to be able to actually have this kind of programming, it's like to encourage not only the individual, but the community and society at large. And, it's like to be able to, it's like look into a promotive and preventative kind of, like strategies. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I also believe that promoting a health span instead of just a lifespan, it need to be a multi-pronged approach, and also need to be a community effort.
Yeah.
Janice, can you please comment on this question?
It's hard to be the last one to comment, but I really agree with both your comments, and especially about seniors not being just receptacles of health. I think we're looking at the new generation of seniors. They're gonna, they actually now starting to aspire to have a longer life. They no longer believe that 100-year-old life is not attainable. They actually think it's attainable. Now they're concerned with how can they stay healthy for that 100-year-old life. They don't want to be 100 and frail. A major thing we're doing this year is to focus on the stories and the interviews of silver entrepreneurs. I think it's about helping people to age, helping seniors to understand that as they age, what is their purpose, or helping them to discover what is the purpose. And this purpose comes with engagement. And when they find that purpose, let's say, for example, they want to be starting to sell a recipe that their mother made, then they would naturally want to stay healthy so that they can be strong enough to start cooking and strong enough to start sharing. They'll be happy when they engage in it, so that social engagement comes in. They're looking after their health. And if you can find a way that they could actually commercialize it, they feel so much satisfaction. That's your silver GDP as well. What is the economic contributions of older people past the age of 60? In fact, 60 is no longer old. I think maybe at 75, you might see more people experience some signs of aging. But it's very heartening to see that a lot of Singaporean seniors are increasing that benchmark of what is old. I love hearing stories when they tell me that if they bought a bus, people ask why are they using this particular card. They people, they are being questioned about their age. I think that is great. That brings back to when kids entered nightclubs in the past and they were asked to show their IDs. Now seniors are being asked to prove that they are a senior. And I think that's a great testament to how healthy they are keeping it. And I think that's a very heartening model. You know, someone brought up a question about employment for seniors as well, and how can seniors get jobs. And you know, I think everybody is undergoing a mindset shift now, how corporates are engaging with their staff. Because of COVID, people are working from home. And because of that, a lot of seniors will find different opportunities to engage in purposeful work as well. So I think a lot of new work is being created. And if you can't find the right new work, you create your own work and you create your own enterprise and you become an entrepreneur. Gardening is huge among seniors right now, and you could be growing enough to sell the vegetables to your own corridor of neighbors, for example. And I think that's great because we're seeing a lot of them being curious, you know, how can I start selling things? You know, what is e-commerce? What is Facebook marketing? We're seeing questions. The other day when I was in a social media class, majority were younger people, but I saw an older person. When I asked her why was she there, she said she wanted to learn the new skills. And honestly, the words that she was using, well, some of them I didn't understand either, and I was learning from her. And she was actually probably more advanced in that program than I was. So I think it's different. We no longer see seniors is just old and frail. It's really a new generation of seniors, and younger people have to change their mindset as well. Corporates have to change their mindset. So I think it's an all of society approach. Aging overlaps every sector of our world right now.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Janice. Yeah, so follow on Janice, the point brought up about how the senior will, as the senior get healthier longer, and the government probably will delay the retirement age. Right? How would that have an impact in the business practice to accommodate more elderly, more senior people? Right? Yeah. So how about Dr. Yinlin? Can you comment on this? That from the society, you know, from the whole society, how do you foresee that? You know, what's the future of work environment, and do you think the lifelong learning and upskilling is feasible?
Okay, yeah, so thanks. So just now we were actually talking about healthy longevity. There is also another, direction in terms of productive longevity. And basically, I think, whether it is actually being, still, useful, because that actually helps a person, esteem and so on, and meaning in life. Yes, in our projects, we have one looking at older adults, and basically it's actually saying that there are individuals who may want to still continue working beyond the retirement age. And and like what Janice says, they may not look that old. Actually, you look at the chronological age, they could be old, but but they are still able to contribute to society. So yes, skills training, upskilling, reskilling, and lifelong learning, those are important areas. So for example, we have actually just launched, 2 rounds of health coaching training. Because it's actually, our research, so basically we curated a lot of, some materials, and we said that it's very wasted. We might as well just, use this to, to actually, train the elderly. Guess who came to our, courses? These are retirees, who want to actually learn more about, what does it mean to, to age well. But there is also a handful of them who actually want to, because they're retired, they also want to find meaning in life. They also want to contribute back to society. So say, oh, that's great, so I can actually see whether I learn more skills, and therefore I can contribute to society, can actually look after other elderly. So very, very positive in terms of, saying that they want to actually stay, beyond, retirement age. So how can we, get businesses to be more inclusive? I think with the with the raising of the retirement age, it's like more people will still be staying in the workforce. Another thing is actually really to look at whether, it's like within the company themselves, right? I think there are also schemes where, it's like companies are looking at, it's like upskilling or reskilling, it's like certain job functions. So in this project, we are looking at vertical skills, horizontal skills, and transferable skills. And I think that's where, it's like Skills Future, funding, lifelong learning, it's like, and this is actually that direction. And so I just want to pick up from what Charlene said earlier on about, like managing our health. It is actually a life course. And the same thing, like when we educate our, the young, and throughout the whole life, is really to look at, learning is lifelong. Currently we are using this term as lifelong learning. It's still quite artificial because we are now inserting this to say, oh, please learn as you grow older, right? But if it is the whole programming itself in terms of education and training, then it becomes very natural. It's like that if I want to actually learn the skill, I know how to actually, pick up a course and learn the skill. So for the elderly, it's like there could still be some mindset change to say that if I'm actually working in a certain job, it's like, could I be reskilled to other jobs? And this is actually where the project is, to say that some of these skills, it's like can be transferred, it's like into another job functions. And it's like, and the it's like the industry and the society will be able to actually see this mobility. It's like, so this social mobility, this job mobility, right, to allow for, it's like someone who may be old in age and therefore certain jobs may not be so relevant. However, there are certain other skill sets that he has actually acquired, and this could be relevant for something else. It's like, and not forgetting, it's like experiences. It's like someone with expertise and with experiences, it's like could contribute a lot more to the company. So A is actually mindset change of the seniors, but it's also mindset change of the employers. It's like, and also policies that will actually support. And I think, it's like with Skills Future funding, with the support, it's like of more than, I think, close to 90% if you're actually 40 years and above, it's like then that gives a lot of, it's like incentives to upskill and reskill. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Yin. Yeah, I think that our government is actively helping and promoting the seniors to continue stay in the workforce and contribute. Yeah. Thank you very much for your insightful sharing today. Yeah, for the interest of the time, let me hand back to Zhiying to close the webinar.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry. Yes. Yep. Yes. Thank you. Thank you to all our panelists and Jasmine for the great moderation. Actually, we do have a lot of questions, but it's a pity that we are unable to dive into all of them. So we do hope this panel has helped shed light on how you can live healthier for longer and age in place, and spark some lifestyle changes and lifelong learning. If you'd like to revisit the conversation, we'll also be sending a post-event email with the recording to the session. Do also connect with us on our various social media channels, and we hope to see you at future events. And so have a good lunch and a great day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.